All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Herding Squirrels. I'm Brandon Wetzstein, your host, and this is a podcast about modern teams. Joining us today is Cole Christie. Cole is the Senior Engineering Manager for Site Reliability Engineering at Gap. In that role, Cole leads a distributed team of engineers as they tackle reliability and scaling challenges for Gap, Old Navy, Athleta, and Banana Republic. This is not Cole's first leadership role. His career started 18 years ago, and 10 of those years he's been in management positions. Cole, welcome. How are you feeling today?
Thanks for inviting me, Brandon. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. Excited to play with some Legos and learn more about your leadership journey and your experience in teams. With that, we're going to jump right in and start building. I want you to build a model that tells a story about who you are outside of work. I'd love to see your model that represents you outside of work.
So my model that represents me outside of work has a front and a back.
Wow.
And the front of it is normally my work persona, which is the base is rather sturdy and it's all kind of uniform. And then as you see, more and more gets stacked on top of it to where the top kind of outweighs the bottom. But what I try to do is I try to keep my work life and my personal life separate. So the work life is on one side of the wall and I'm with my family on the other side of the wall. And even though I try to keep them separate, parts of me pokes through. Like I'm a dad and I have some daughters, and a little bit peeks through, and then some of like the kooky fun stuff comes out at the top. The more we get to work together, it comes out. But I try to keep the two of them separate. So my work life and my personal life, the two sides of the same wall.
I love it. I love it. Can you hold that back up? I want to ask a couple questions on there. So I noticed that you have the two flags. Do those have any meaning perchance at all?
I wanted to incorporate every piece you gave me, and I felt that these two flags could go on this side because, they're more expressive versus my work life, which is rather flat and boring.
Yeah. Awesome. And did you use every single piece?
I used every single piece, even the eyeballs.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Thank you, Cole. You've got this. You've got the hang of it. This is Lego serious play and building stories out of Lego bricks. So with that, we're going to jump into our first team-based build. And for that, I want you to think about what is the most amazing team experience you've ever been a part of? Either as a leader or a participant, could be work, could be something completely separate. But think of that experience and build a model that tells the story about what that experience was, what went into it, any additional information that you care to add. Sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, Cole, excited to see your model. Share with us what you built.
So I built a very, very long bridge that then built up to a high point, which is our goal. So for me, this is a few years ago when I worked at a University of California, San Diego, and one of the things that I took away there was that because our team was so diverse and so international, when we were presented with a challenge, we'd look at it from many different perspectives. We weren't all looking at it from the same front-facing view. We were really looking at it from a variety of angles, from our international experiences, from different companies, different backgrounds, different skill sets, different degrees. We worked with a variety of people with different skill sets. Not all of us had a computer science background. Some of us had bioinformatics or chemical engineer, different types of backgrounds. And as such, when we would encounter the problem, we'd come up with such a diverse set of solutions that sometimes they'd just be completely novel to us. And it'd be surprising how effective they were in overcoming the challenge before us. So we'd just build over our problems and then reach up to the goal.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I love that. And in looking at your model, I noticed a couple things, and I just want to ask. So first off, the minifigure has a flag with like two different flags on there. Does that have any specific meaning in and of itself?
For us, it was, or what I tried to personify here was that the journey we try to enjoy. You mean like sometimes when you're at work, like, you're presented with problem and challenge and problem and challenge, and if you just were myopic and just looked at what's right in front of you, it'd be very difficult, very disheartening. What are we working on? Why are we working on it? Who even wants this thing? Why? But if you look at the big picture, there's a lot of enjoyment to be had along the way.
I like that. I've got just so many amazing nuggets there, like the enjoyment, the various perspectives, angles, and uniqueness, bringing out such again, novel ideas all around. That's a fantastic model. I love it. Thank you, Cole. All right. So for our next build, not surprising, I want to go in the opposite direction, and I want you to think of the most challenging team environment that you've been a part of. Build a model that represents that environment or that group and the challenges that went into working in that group. All right. Cole, I'm super excited to see your challenging team model. I love it. You can share it to us.
Sure. My challenging team model looks like this, which I would describe as it's going in all directions at the same time without any clear organization. So for me, a challenging team moment would be if we're not communicating on what the big goal is or what's the priority or what we should all be striving towards. What can commonly end up with, especially if you have a team full of very intelligent people with sufficient resources, such as time and things like that, they'll just go in all directions at the same time, solving every challenge before them, no matter how small or how big, they'll do it themselves. And then as such, we go in all directions, but overall, we've achieved a whole bunch of nothing.
And is this representative of a specific scenario that you had been a part of?
A common pattern.
A common pattern?
Roots back in poor communication nets poor collaboration.
Ooh, poor communication nets poor collaboration. I like that. Let me ask you this. So when you say pattern, would this be referring to a singular instance, or is this kind of a group of instances that you have seen repeated on multiple occasions?
I've worked at government subcontractors for the defense industry. I've worked in academia. I've worked at SMS advertising. I've worked in retail industry. I've worked from people fresh out of college, to people in college, interns, to people with doctorates. It's people that are new to the teams, people that have been there for 20 plus years. It's not bound to culture or age or anything like that or industry. It's just if people don't communicate and they don't set clear guidelines of what we're trying to achieve or why we're trying to achieve it, you just end up with stuff like this over time, an organic mess.
Interesting. I love how you presented that across any and all industries. This can be
as long as you
and is a challenge. Yeah. And I think even more interesting is how you've intentionally singled out that these are intelligent people. Like, this isn't a problem of so-and-so or a level of intent or someone trying to do a good job or not. It literally comes down
from their
to
perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nailing it. You know what I mean? Because from their perspective, what's right in front of them, this is the right decision. Like, these are all well-intentioned individuals, but that's the key thing: is they're individuals. Instead of a team, we have a group of individuals.
A very important delineation. Oh my gosh, I love. You can put the model down now, and let's just chat a little bit, because I think you've so many nuggets to kind of come back to, and weave through with all of that team information we just caught out there. But I want to start with communication. Why do you think communication is such a challenging piece of teamwork?
To me, communication is really difficult because people have to say what they don't know. And by default, that makes people feel vulnerable. Like, hey, I don't know how long that's going to take. Or I don't know what you actually are aiming for with this meeting. Or, hey, why are you asking us to do this? Or why do you think that that's our job? Or things to that effect, especially if it's in the heat of the moment. Let's say something's broken at work, or there's a power disparity, like some leader is asking down the chain of command, hey, why isn't this done, or things like that. People feel like they're in the wrong, or they have to explain themselves, or they have to justify their actions, and as such, they'll just clam up. And instead of communicating what they need, which is clarity or confirmation of like, hey, no, we didn't do this because I thought you didn't want it done, they won't say that type of thing, and they'll just capitulate.
Interesting. I still love how you're saying that this rolls through so many different industries and so many different places. What do you think differentiates the people who can ask for what they need versus the ones who either can't or don't?
The difference between those who ask for what they need and those who don't, I think
Yeah,
it comes with empathy.
Okay, say more.
So like to see the challenge from a different person's perspective or different person's shoes. You know what I mean? Because we're all too often, we assume, the facts say I'm right, so what I'm going to say about this and everything that flows from there must also be right. Well, you can start with the right idea, like, hey, this shouldn't have broke. But whose fault is it to fix it, or what should we do about that? You can kind of, 5 steps in, you're now lost in the forest. You know what I mean? Well, why are we even talking about this thing? Who needs to fix it? Why do we need to fix it? What's the team around it? The communication starts to get garbled, and then people start doing things, let's say we do fix it, and then 6 months later, well, why are we doing this? Oh, this is the way it's always been done. I hear that quite a lot. So then we have to go back to the basics of, well, why did we design this solution? Or why are we building this product? Or who's the customers? Or how do we know that's what the customers want? Or what they still want? Because the customers might have changed even though our product hasn't. So sometimes we have to really look beyond that. But for me, it roots back into collaboration, which ties in closely with empathy.
I like that. Also, I like how you tied it into asking questions, right? It's let's step back, not assume, and hey, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we really doing here? One of the things you mentioned there is perspective and looking at different perspectives. And so I want to take a little bit of shift on perspective and tell us a little bit about your perspective and how that has changed in your journey from individual contributor to leadership. How has your perspective changed over that journey? And specifically, I'd like you to pinpoint that initial kind of leadership role and position, because I think there's an initial perspective on what things will look like and then what they actually are. So I'd love to just hear a little bit about your journey and some of the lessons you've learned along it.
Sure. I mean, so I have a technical role. So I'm an engineer, and that's where I started. So I started with system administration, which is all about not how can I build things necessarily, but how can I assemble the building blocks that come off the shelf in a way that drives real value. So a lot of where I came from, it started with facts. And as such, when I would show up at a team meeting or a company, we needed to discuss this type of a project, stuff like that, I would bring facts. People wouldn't always agree with me, and as such, I would try to find more facts to help them agree with me, because clearly facts are the answer. And what I learned over years is that you don't want to bring facts to a feelings fight. So if their opinion is rooted in how they feel about a subject, I can bring as many facts as I would like. It's not going to help me. It's not going to help me see their perspective, and it's not going to help them see my perspective. So I need to take a step back and understand, well, how do they feel about this? And what are their beliefs about this? And are those beliefs rooted in something that we can discuss, like a fact, or are those beliefs rooted in personal experiences from the past? And I'll never be able to go back in time and change those personal experiences. They happened, and I need to respect that. Stepping off of that, my personal journey into leadership wasn't very slow. I worked while I was in college, put myself through college, and then when I got out of college, my first role, I was already a manager. So yay, day one, I'm leading somebody. And that helped me, and then I went on from there, in and out of leadership and in and out of management. It helped me learn really quickly that it doesn't matter if I can do something. It matters if we can do something. So I always need to think of things such as, well, how do I get the whole team to successfully complete this journey? How do I get the whole team to engage in the subject matter? How do I get the whole team enabled to learn about this, embrace this change, get ready for the next big thing that's coming? Not just am I okay, but are they okay? And then how do I follow up with them to make sure that they're actually going along with us on this whole journey and people aren't getting lost or sidetracked or stopping along the way?
I keep writing down things because you're just giving out these amazing nuggets, and I really just wanted to highlight you don't bring facts to a feelings fight. I love the phrasing of that, and there's something about understanding the contextual framework of a conversation, which right, and how do you know, how can you tell if you're in a feelings or a fact, or are there other categories that you would put these conversations in?
I'd ask genuine questions, not assuming that I know the answer, not assuming that I'm leading them towards a place, but really like hey, tell me more about what we're looking at here. Tell me, why this is a high priority for you. Tell me, is this our first time trying to fix this challenge? Is this the 17th time or the 80th time we're trying to fix these challenges? How have we fixed this in the past? What makes you, how would you qualify or quantify, what success looks like? How do we know that we've both reached it? What does success even look like to you? Are we aligned in our definition? Because as long as we're aligned, how we solve it as a team, it doesn't bother me. Is it strawberry or blueberry? Is it left or is it right? Is it up or is it down? These are details. They're sometimes big details to some people, but to me, as long as we reach the destination, we might take a detour or two, or we might implement it in a different way. It doesn't bother me too much, but it all roots back into genuine questions.
I really like that. What I'm getting to from this is a lot of just curiosity, asking questions, not with an intent to push the answer or get to the thing that you want to get to, but to really understand. Back to your point of empathy that you had later, or that you mentioned earlier. What is this person truly thinking? What's going through their mind? What are they trying to achieve? You mentioned earlier trying to get everyone to we, right, versus I. How do you work with people that aren't necessarily on board with that? And do you find most people are on board with that? How do you find it? You've had so much experience across many different industries. I'm curious what you've seen in this variety of roles, and if there's some maybe universal truths that have come out, at least from your perspective.
Sure. So I'm going to reinterpret your question, and then let me know if we get close.
Yeah.
So what you mean is how do we have a group of individuals that might be more different than they are the same, and how do we coalesce them into an actual team?
Yeah, and I think getting from the I to the we, right? Because you have a lot of I's. Everyone's got that I part, right? I've got a job. I have a thing I need to do. I have my career that I want to get taken care of. But when we're part of a team, there's a we, and they don't always align with one another. So how do you really help those people see the we aspect? And do you find most people are ready to be on board with the we scenario, or do they tend to shift more towards the I scenario?
You have to earn it. It's just like any relationship. It takes time, energy, and investment. But how do I get to there? It's doing hard things together. So doing hard things together, I think, forges a team. Just like if you were a blacksmith and you heated a piece of metal and then you hammered it and then you reheated it and you hammered it. You're trying to forge the atoms together. You're trying to make everything in a striation for strength and for durability and for flexibility and to be able to handle what's going to come into it in front of it. So doing hard things together, I think, puts people into a perspective of, well, as an individual, I can, of course, accomplish these other things, but I couldn't have done that, or I didn't know about that, or didn't do this other thing. But by coming together as a team, we can reinforce each other, and then we can overcome those hurdles and actually be successful, whereas individuals, we can never be successful. Or it just takes such a preponderance amount of time that success is still a failure.
I really like the blacksmithing analogy. I think that really, once it takes a little heat, a little bit of pressure, but eventually, you're all on that same page. Have you seen any shift in the last, let's just say 5 years, or any period of time, in teamwork and individuals and how we interact with one another?
Yeah, huge. The pandemic really changed people's perspectives a lot. There's the whole shift to a mobile workforce, which I think was nice because it allowed people to still be productive. If we wouldn't have done that, who knows what world we would have been in. But the challenge is this, if you were to do a team building exercise in person, you're like, oh yeah, we'll get some food, we'll go do something together, that's great. Well, how do I do that with a distributed workforce? And you're like, we'll get some food, dang, that's really tough. Maybe we'll give everybody Uber Eats cards or some sort of gift card, and then we'll eat at the same time. And you're like, well, shoot, people are in different time zones, so lunch isn't always at lunchtime, and someone's going to have breakfast, someone else is eating dinner. You're like, well, we'll do something together. And you're like, well, that's equally challenging. So our abilities to communicate, thanks to the internet, thanks to Zoom, thanks to Slack, thanks to all these tools, have really improved a lot. And our abilities to collaborate, GitHub, Git, distributed systems code, things like that, deploying to the cloud, so you don't have to go rack and stack something physically in the data center. Those have improved quite a lot as well. Our abilities to document, write things down, share collaboratively. We can all co-edit the same document at the same time with multiple versions. All these things, huge improvements. But from a team collaboration standpoint, it's still really hard to offer those shared experiences that used to be so simple 10 years ago.
And so, I mean, how do you manage through not necessarily having that ease of in-person connection? What type of things do you do to help make up for that gap?
The big things like, we're going to go and do a team event. We haven't figured that out. So what are we going to do? We're going to try to refocus on the small things. So, hey, we're going to do team stand-ups. And in those team stand-ups, we'll make sure that people know that their work is appreciated. Or we'll put more effort into how we write our tickets, focusing more on why we're doing things and less on what we're doing. And as such, people understand why we're working on this over that, or why priorities have changed. Because they can't join the meeting in person where we'd have everybody in the same room and everyone get the same information at the same time. We can't do that no more. So we're going to try to break it down into smaller pieces and then reinforce the team in that way.
I like that. Break it down into smaller pieces. I feel like that's great advice for
like Legos.
many. Yeah, I didn't even catch the Lego pun there, Cole.
There's a Lego pun there.
Gosh. Oh, what am I doing here? Oh my gosh. Cole, this is amazing. This is so much great information. I'd like to do one more build. You got one more build in you?
Yep, let's do it.
Awesome. So this will be our final build. For your last build, I want you to think of back to you, right, going into your first leadership role, and I want you to build a model that would be advice for this person about to enter their first leadership role. Build a model that would share your advice with a person going into their first leadership role. Cole, I can't wait to see your advice model. Hold it up for everyone to see and tell us this advice.
So on the outside, it looks like it's just an impenetrable block, like a fort. And that's not what it is. It's really a cup. And the idea is that keep an open mind, because as much as I know, I'm going to know more tomorrow. And that's the main takeaway for me, is always keep learning. Every day I go to work, I should be able to leave learning something. It could be something technical, it could be something non-technical, but I learned something. And I need to do my best to remember that and stop forgetting.
I love it. Cole's cup of learning. Fantastic. Cole, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I'd love to just ask, what did you think about building your thoughts and ideas out of Lego bricks?
I think this is a really excellent approach. I mean, for me, it helps take what's inside of my head and then make it physical so we can then talk about it. So to me, it was an excellent experience.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, it's been great having you here. Folks, if you're looking to find Cole, we'll have his LinkedIn information on our show notes. And that is our time. Cole, thank you so much for coming. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today on Herding Squirrels, where we uncover the nuts and bolts of teams.